5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Are you ready for the show? Let's go!
Starring Greg from My Weight Loss Life. Starring Brian from Whitco's Carnivore. Starring Aaron from Brewing Better Living. Welcome to the Low Carb Lounge. Grab a drink and pull up a chair. It's showtime.
Hello, everybody. As you can see, I am hosting tonight by myself. Greg from My Weight Loss Life has a family matter that he's tending to tonight. And Erin had a procedure done and she's recovering from that. So I am hosting by myself tonight. In a little bit here, I'll have Larry from Carnivore Soldier on and we'll have a good conversation. We're going to have our trivia like we normally have. And we got a topic for tonight is going to be centered around carnivore and doing carnivore or low carb for that matter, but especially we're going to be geared towards carnivore tonight, doing that on a budget. And this is something that Larry and I have talked about before in different live streams that we've done and so forth. So I'm really looking forward to talking to Larry tonight about this one. He's got some great ideas for doing low carb on a budget and so forth. So I expect this to be a good show. Really quick, let me just say hi to some people that are showing up in the chat here. Go ahead and say hi in the chat as well. Ellen's out there. Hello. William. Hello. Good to see you again, William. Richard from Copper Hill, Tennessee. Hello. And Tracy listening while I finish up work at the office. All right, Tracy. Let me see here really quick. Gonna put this up. Like I said, Greg and Aaron are not able to make it tonight, but I'll have the link here for a few minutes at the bottom with at My Weight Loss Life for Greg, at Brewing Better Living for Aaron, and of course mine is at Wicavore. So you can check out if you're on the different channels tonight. You can check out each of those channels. And we'll have Larry on in a little bit. So Jan is here. Hello. Again, I talked about our topic. So the topic tonight is carnivore on a budget. When Larry comes on, we will be talking about that. I know he's got some great ideas for doing carnivore on a budget. Just a little bit that I can talk about right now before he gets on. There are a lot of good things you can do with carnivore with a really tight budget. So you don't have to have like expensive steaks all the time and stuff like that, right? Things like ground beef, eggs, chicken, pork, they tend to be rather cheap in price compared to, doing like the steaks and so forth. So you can do those kinds of things for a budget. And eggs tend to be a really good source for carnivore. A lot of people that do the carnivore diet eat a lot of eggs, and very good for you, very healthy, a good amount of saturated fat in them, and they're particularly cheap. You can do any range too. You can go with the pasteurized free range eggs that are going to be a little bit more expensive, and they're still not really that expensive when you look at things. Typically, at least in the United States here, it's probably around $5 to $7 a dozen for something like that. And if you want to go with just a regular egg, you can typically get those for around $2 or so a dozen. So those are definitely pretty good for a budget. So just a couple things there that I wanted to bring up. Again, when Carnivore Soldier gets on, we'll talk a little more about that topic. And just catch up here. Let's see. So we got Tracy from South Texas. Hello, Tracy. Again, we'll have Carnivore Soldier on in a little bit. Here's our guest. Greg and Aaron are not in today. They're not able to make it tonight. So it'll be just me tonight. Before we go into anything like trivia or anything like that, I just wanted to bring up really quickly that tonight is our last episode of the season 1 for the Low Carb Lounge. So we're going to take a little bit of a break after this episode, and I'm not exactly sure when we'll be back with a new season, but that's kind of the thing there. So tonight will be the last episode for this season. All right. I am gonna go ahead and start us out with some trivia. So if you are watching, you can put your answers in the chat, and this is basically all for fun. So to kind of learn a little bit and see what everybody has for different questions and so forth. So I'm going to get us started here. Question number 1. Here we go. What is the recommended amount of physical activity for adults as per the World Health Organization? So if you have a guess for the recommended amount of physical activity, and this would be in hours or minutes or whatever, that is what they recommend. So give you a little hint there. Go ahead and put it in the chat. And again, this is the World Health Organization. So this would be the recommendation basically across the world, not just the United States. And just one second here. Okay. So I know, just a quick update, I know Larry had somewhere that he did have to go and then was going to be on. He thought that he would be here on time. I haven't heard from him yet. So he might be a few minutes late. So just kind of putting that out there. Anybody watching from his channel, Larry Carnivore Soldier will be on. Basically waiting for when he gets here. All right. So for the question here, what is the recommended amount of physical activity for adults as per the World Health Organization? William has guessed 10 hours a week. So that's a pretty good guess. Anybody else has a guess? Go ahead and put it in the chat. Put the question back up on the screen here for everybody. And I'll go ahead and give the answer. There hasn't been a whole lot of participation this time, but that's okay. This is probably a tough question. So the answer is 2.5 hours per week. So I believe that they recommend 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. So that comes out to 2.5 hours per week. All right. That'll take us to our next trivia question. What is tripe? And I hope that I pronounced that correctly. I believe it's called tripe. I'll give you a hint. It's something you can eat, something on the low carb carnivore diet that you can eat. But what exactly is it? So going back to the first trivia question we had, Richard says, the WHO does not know anything about health. Yes, I definitely have to kind of agree with that. Back to question number 2. What is tripe? Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Jan is saying potentially fish. That's a good guess. William says guts. Anybody else has a guess? Go ahead and put it in the chat. Sorry, I'm just checking really quick to make sure I don't have a text from Larry. Okay. Like I said, once Larry gets here, we will bring him, or I'll bring him on the show. I know he had something he had to do really quick. So he should be getting here shortly. Let's see. So William says guts or intestines. Okay. And then Richard said stomach. Back again, the question is, what is tripe? I go to the answer here. Is it the lining of beef, hog, or sheep stomach? So Richard was right with stomach. Beef tripe is most often obtained from the first 3 stomachs of beef cattle. A1 had guessed brains. I missed that one before posting the answer. All right. So we'll go to question number 3 here. How much cattle feed is required to create a single quarter-pound hamburger? Yeah. Yeah, you were wrong about with saying brains, but yeah, that was a good guess. I honestly, before looking up that trivia question, I had no idea myself. So, all right, back here, how much cattle feed is required to create a single quarter-pound hamburger? So number 1 says 50 pounds. William says 10 pounds. Couple of good guesses. Give everybody a few minutes to think about this one, and you can put your answer in the chat window. I will give a hint. One of the answers is really close that I just listed on the screen. So there was a 50-pound and a 10-pound. One of those are really close. And while we're waiting to see if there's any more answers in the chat, it's one of our things that we like to do on the Low Carb Lounge is talk about what we're drinking. Once again, I've got my trusty water bottle and I'm just drinking plain water. So go ahead and put in the comments what you've been drinking today. Be good to see what everybody's been doing. And we'll go ahead and put the answer here for trivia question number 3. So it was how much cattle feed is required to create a single quarter-pound hamburger? The answer, according to the animals report, more than 13 pounds of feed per quarter-pound hamburger. So William was pretty close with his 10 pounds. Number 1 is also drinking water. Good. And let me go back here. So we're going to go to trivia question number 4 now. Got 2 more questions here. So here's number 4. Is the meat of boar, which is wild pig, considered red meat or white meat? So this is an interesting one, I think. I'm gonna need a participation trophy. William is drinking Topo Chico from Costco. Good. I've never actually tried that, by the way. I've heard a lot of people talk about it and that it's pretty good, but I've never tried it. All right, back to our question. Is the meat of boar considered red meat or white meat? A number one has guessed white meat. That's a pretty good guess. Obviously, you're 50 chance here, right? Red meat or white meat? Put the question back up here for everybody. And if you're just coming on and you're on Greg's channel or Aaron's channel, neither one of them were able to make it tonight. So I am hosting alone. I will have a Carnivore Soldier on tonight as our guest. Greg had a family thing that he's tending to, and Aaron recently had a procedure done and is recovering. And as for Larry from Carnivore Soldier, he is scheduled to be our special guest. I think he is running a little bit late, but as soon as he's here, I will get him on the show. All right. So let's see. So A number one had said white meat. William says white if it's fed wrong, red if it's pasture raised. Okay. So again, the question is the meat of boar considered red or white meat? And the answer, even though the wild boar is closely related to the domesticated pig, boar meat is red meat. I am intrigued by what William said here, though. If it's fed wrong, it's red. If it's white, if it's fed wrong, I'm sorry, red if it's pasture raised. So I'm going to actually look that up and see if I can find more about that. But the answer that I got was that it is just red meat. So, and yes, A number one, you don't have to worry about the participation trophy anymore because you got this one right. Good job. All right. That'll take us to our last trivia question. Number 5. Veal is the meat of what animal? And this one is interesting. I guessed wrong before I looked it up. Okay. Let's see here. All right, so let's see some answers here. I think this was back. So Richard had said pink. I think that might have been back from the previous question. This question here, veal is the meat of what animal? Bovine from William. A number one says cattle cow, young one. Anybody else has a guess? Go ahead and put it in the chat. Veal is the meat of what animal? And again, while I'm waiting for to see if anybody else has any answers to put in the chat. This, just so everyone knows, this is the last episode of the season of the Low Carb Lounge. So we will not have an episode next Thursday. I'm not sure when the next season will be, but we will not have an episode next season. So next week, this is the last episode of the season for the Low Carb Lounge. And Greg and Aaron could not make it tonight, and right now I am just waiting for Larry to bring him on from Carnivore Soldier. And let's see, we got a couple more answers here. William had said that's a cow classification. Chris says it's calf of cow. All right. So I'll go to the answer here. Question: veal is the meat of what animal? The answer is calf. So yes, a young calf there is the answer. Young four-legged animals. Yep. So that was our trivia. And I forgot to play our little trivia intro before I started trivia, but hey, that happens. I tend to do that a lot. So, all right. So that's our trivia. Again, typically at this point, I would be bringing our guest on, but he still isn't here yet. I know that he had an errand that he had to run before this. So I'm not sure yet when he's going to get here. That'll be, of course, Carnivore Soldier. So in the meantime, I'm going to go back to our topic for tonight, carnivore on a budget. Anybody out there watching that has any suggestions for doing carnivore on a budget, go ahead and put them in the chat and I'll bring those up. I had already talked a little bit about ground beef and doing eggs, chicken. Typically when you look at chicken breast is a little bit more expensive, but you can get like things like chicken thighs or chicken legs a little bit cheaper. So those tend to be good. The only bad thing that I run into with chicken is that it typically is not, doesn't have a lot of fat content to it. So like if I get chicken thighs or something like that, I like to have them with the skin on and cook them that way so that with the skin, you get a little bit more fat content to them. The other thing that you can do with chicken thighs, if you take the skins off, you can actually just bake, I guess, the skin on its own, and they turn them into these crispy chicken skins, and those can be used as like a snack and so forth. So those are pretty good there. Chris says spam. Just kidding. It's funny because I almost put a question in the trivia about spam. But I mean, it's not the cleanest, healthiest, right? But it is an option for somebody if they really needed to. Again, there are better options, things like, eggs. Again, they tend to be pretty cheap, and you can even get some really high quality eggs sometimes from just people that are farmers in your community that are selling the eggs. Again, you might be able to get $4 or $5 a dozen, somewhere in there, and that's a pretty decent meal. Even if you ate a dozen of them, which would be pretty filling if you ate a dozen of them in a meal. That's $4 or $5. That's not that bad. Let's see. Darth says beef fat trimmings fried in its own fat for a nice delicacy. I like this to munch on while I watch movies every once in a while. Yep, that's a good one. And some places they'll even give you the beef fat trimmings for free. Some will sell them to you, but they're normally a much cheaper price, so that works out pretty well as well. Let's see here. Got another comment here. William says, I've had chicken once on carnivore and was hungry afterwards. Yeah, that's another thing. and I think maybe it's because that they're leaner than, red meat. But I've noticed that too. Um, and most of the time when I have chicken, I'll have like chicken wings, but it seems like I get hungry, either pretty quickly or I was still hungry, didn't get full all the way when I ate. So that is one thing that does happen. Um, just give an example out there. Dave Mack. I think a lot of people know who Dave Mack is. I think he's got No Carb Life as his YouTube channel, and he will eat eggs and ground beef as his meal. And I think he eats like 10 eggs and a pound of ground beef or something like that. So that's typically the only meal that he eats in a day. And I think that's probably costing him around $8 to $10 or something like that. And um, I gotta tell you, it's pretty filling. I don't know uh, what other people think, but I don't know how he actually is able to eat that much food in one setting. I can eat the ground beef, but I would not be able to eat 10 eggs as well. Typically, if I eat like a pound of ground beef, I can have maybe 4 to 5 eggs, and then I am like really, really full. Um, so just the difference, with ground beef, red meat, just beef in general, I guess, a pound of it, and you can get fairly full. And, going back to what William was saying here with the chicken, I could eat a lot of chicken. It's probably more than a pound's worth of chicken, and I still tend to be hungry. So that's kind of the one downside to chicken, even though it tends to be a little bit cheaper, is it can take a little bit more to fill you up. William says, I use tons of butter and ate almost 4 pounds. Wow. Yeah. And the good thing with butter is that it's very filling, because of the fat intake, right? Fat does a really good job of filling you up and keeping you saturated for a good amount of time. Let's see here. So Johnny says, take fat trimmings, cut into 1-inch chunks, air fryer at 400 degrees for 4 minutes with a good shake halfway through. Yeah. That's a good one. I think that the last time we were talking, Johnny, you were talking about how you had done that, and it was a good snack, right? Like people that are on the road, Johnny does a truck driver, so he's out on the road a lot. That's a good one for you. Darth brings up manager special meats. That's a good one too. A lot of times when you go to grocery stores, you can find the discounted meat. Sometimes if the sell by date is like today or tomorrow or something like that, they'll mark it down, and you can get some really good deals. And that's a sell by date, so even if you're not going to eat it all right away, you can freeze some and thaw it out later and so forth. So that's a great way to do it as well. There's a lot of good options to do carnivore on a budget, or even low carb for that matter. you know it doesn't have to be that expensive. Even if you want to do steak, like there are time periods like ribeye we want to talk about. Okay. Ribeye tends to be really expensive. Like a lot of times I'll see it around where I live for around 15, 16, $17 a pound, somewhere in there. But every once in a while, you'll see somebody has the rib roast or something, or the standing roast for like $6 a pound. And that's a great deal. I'll get like the big slabs of that, and I'll cut them up into individual steaks and put them in the freezer. And then I have them for a good amount of time. And, again, it was a rather cheap meal, $6 a pound, as opposed to probably paying $15 to $17 a pound normally when it's regular price. So those are always good deals. Let's see. Marvin says, hello from East Texas. Go Carnivore for life. Yep. And just so everybody knows, I'm still waiting here for Carnivore Soldier. I haven't heard from him. I should probably try and text him and see if he's going to be able to make it. I know he had an errand that he did have to run, but he was planning on being here and thought he would be here on time. But it is 7:30, so um, if he is able to show up, I will bring him on and we'll talk. But if not, I'll just continue on the show here tonight by myself. Tambourine, does it really make a difference if I fast or not? Fasting has been a struggle for me lately. So I don't think that it necessarily does, but I guess the first question is what type of fasting are you talking about? Are you talking about like regular fasting or intermittent fasting? Intermittent fasting tends to be what a lot of people do just by eating a low carb or carnivore diet. I do that. I typically will eat twice a day, and that's within like a 5 to 6 hour window. And then there's about 18 hours a day that I'm not eating, so I'm fasting, right? So that's considered intermittent fasting. So let's say I eat my first meal like around noon, I have a second meal around 6 p.m., and I don't eat again until closer to noon the next day. So that's an intermittent fasting, and just doing that tends to work really well. Um, but some people want to do longer fasting, right? They want to do 48 hours, 72 hours, whatever, 2, 3 days, 5 days, whatever of a fast. Um, and that's okay. I can say for me, that doesn't work. I'm not able to do fast that long. I've just never have been. So I would say for your question here, if that's the type of fasting you're looking for, it's okay if you can't do that. Um, if you're able to do like the intermittent fasting where there's maybe, 14 to 16 or even 18 hours in between, that works perfectly fine. And that works well for your blood sugar and so forth as well. So that's a good way to go if you can do that. And Darth, going back, he had talked about the manager's special manager's special meats. He says you can just cook immediately or freeze for later. Yep, definitely. Um, Johnny says cheap and easy. Get to know the butcher at the grocery store. He or she will let you know when the markdowns are. That's a good point. And you get to know that butcher. A lot of times they will give you um, fat trimmings for free or a very nice reduced price too. So keep that in mind as well. All right. Let's see. Nuts Bolts says I found farm shops sell cheap cuts and bones for making bone broth. Think people buy this to feed to their dogs. Lucky dogs. Yeah, but bone broth is a really good healthy thing for you that is rather cheap as well. Um, and no doubt about it, there's a lot of good health benefits for real good authentic um, bone broth, not necessarily the kind you buy in the store, but getting your own bones and making the broth yourself. So that's a good one. Also says would be worth searching thoroughly on the internet for local suppliers, including small breeders of goat, horse, etc. Yep. Okay, Darth's got another one here. Frozen beef patties in cold weather. They seem to go on sale frequently at the local Kroger grocery store here. Yeah, frozen beef patties are a good one too. I tend to get mine at Costco, and they're usually the same price all the time. I think it's like 6 pounds for like $24 or something like that. So it's not bad. The other thing, I go to Costco and I can typically get ground beef for $3.99 a pound at my Costco. And I'll buy up a bunch of ground beef and put it into like 1 pound packages. And then either I make just like some kind of ground beef and egg thing, or I'll put the ground beef into like burger patties and do up a couple burger patties and do it that way. So I'm getting, I'm eating a pound of ground beef basically for $4. So that's a good cheap way of doing it as well. But I also do, like I said, the frozen beef patties, and Darth's got a good suggestion here. that a lot of times you'll see them in cold weather. And so that's another thing, they're the frozen beef patties. You can buy them while they're cheaper and, bulk up on them if you've got enough room in your freezer. And then, you can just get them out whenever you need them to do your meal. So that's another good suggestion there. All right. So our topic here that we've been talking about, carnivore on a budget. We've had a lot of good ideas that we've talked about, and just kind of interested here. So maybe you want to put this in the chat, what you think. But um, anybody out there, do you make your own butter? So butter, isn't necessarily that expensive, but I just wonder, like, if anybody does make their own butter. You can churn your own butter at home. And wondered if anybody does that, and if it's actually cheaper than if you just buy it at the store, because I personally don't know. So just thought that would be a good thing to ask. So let me know if is anybody out there. Put it in the comments. While we're waiting for that, just talking more about different things that you can buy on a budget. Anytime you can buy more bulk, that works better on a budget, right? Than just buying like a couple days or weeks of groceries at a time. So if you have enough freezer space, this is something you can do. I'm lucky that I have a fridge freezer in my kitchen. I have one in my garage, and then I have another one in my basement. So I have a decent amount of freezer space, and I will bulk up. I'll buy bulk. A lot of times I'll go to Costco, and their prices tend to be pretty good. I do kind of watch things and, see where I can get the better deals. So I don't always get all of my grocery food at the same place. For instance, Costco tends to have their eggs a little bit more expensive than going to Aldi. So I get my eggs at Aldi. But anyway, if you do want to have things like steak, there's ways to get it cheaper than what it normally is at the grocery store. Here's a perfect example. At Costco, they have the New York loin strips, right? They have them cut out as steaks, and they are, I think, around $10 or $11 a pound. At the same time, they have the loin slabs that are I think they were $7.79 a pound. So it's a couple dollars a pound cheaper. You can buy the big slabs, take them home. You just need a cutting board and a nice knife, and you cut up, the size that you want. I typically do mine between 16 to 24 ounces, so about a pound to a pound and a half. And those are nice, good, thick steaks, usually about that thick or so. And, I will get, like, out of a big slab, if I get one slab, I typically am spending something a little over $100 or so. And I'll get about like 11 or 12 steaks or so, for somewhere in there out of it. And I don't eat steak every day. So that's something that is a little bit higher price, but it's not as high as what you normally think of steak. So it's a cheaper option for getting steak that way. Let's see. William says, I wish I could get a cow to mow the grass. I can't even own chickens where I live. Yeah. I have not, I have not been able to get myself to actually go out and buy chickens to have here, but there is a house just a couple of houses down that do have their own chickens. I think they've got like 4 chickens, and basically they get all the eggs that they need from their chickens. So that's a great thing. And I can't even get myself to do the chicken. So I don't know about doing the cow either, but those are, that's the best way to do it, I guess, if you can raise that stuff yourself. Let's see. Darth says, saw something like that shown on Butcher Wizard's channel, buying a big slab of meat and cutting your own steaks. Yep. And let me see. I'm trying to remember his channel name. Um, over overcoming carbs. If you've ever seen his channel, or if you haven't, go check it out. Overcoming carbs. He has a video um, where he bought the slabs and he cut trying to remember what it was. I think they were the porterhouse or something like that. And the two different types of steaks that you get out of that. And he shows exactly how you cut them and everything, and it's makes it really simple and easy. So really, it's not that difficult when you buy the slabs to cut your own steaks. I was a little intimidated about doing it until I actually went and did it, and then I found that, yeah, this is actually pretty easy. So you just do, like, if you have the fat cap on it, you put that on the bottom, and you just estimate. Like, what I have is I have a scale that I can weigh my steaks on, and I will estimate the first one and then put it on there and make sure it's about the right weight that I'm looking for in my steaks. And then I know the exact size that I want to cut the rest of them, and I just go through and cut them all. Um, so that works out great. And again, you're saving money. Um, so it's a win-win, really. All right. If anyone finds it initially difficult to fast, then 2 tablespoons of apple vinegar and 2 of lemon juice in a glass of water will help until one's constitution gets used to it. Okay, that's a good suggestion. Feeds the microbe as well. Yep. Okay. So that's a good suggestion. Thanks for that suggestion. That goes back to the question we had earlier. By the way, if there's anybody that has any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. Just put a Q in the front, and I'll get to those questions. It is about 7:42 now, and I still have not heard from Larry. So unfortunately, it's looking like he probably isn't going to make it tonight. So I apologize for that. Um, but I know that he was expecting to and hoping to. So I'll get with him and see. Maybe we'll be able to do something. Maybe him and I'll do something here coming up in the future or something. And that way we can really talk about this topic, because I know he has some great ideas for doing carnivore on a budget. He's got a lot of good videos about it as well. So for anybody that is not familiar with Larry, here is his info. His YouTube channel is at Carnivore Soldier. Go check it out if you're not already familiar with him. He's got a great channel. He is a veteran, and he has a special segment that he does where he interviews first responders. So whether it's a veteran or somebody in law enforcement or fire rescue, whatever, paramedic, that kind of stuff. So he's got a great segment that he does there where he talks to those people, and his channel is just great. So go check him out if you are not familiar with Larry's channel. Let's see. Darth says, I did a 48-hour fast the other night, but my daughter wanting to throw away her pepperoni from her pizza triggered my inner budget carnivore, so I partook and ate a normal man. Yeah, that's funny. That's funny because sometimes, so I'm the only one in my house that eats carnivore. Nobody else eats carnivore, and sometimes they'll have pizza, and I'll like walk in there and I'll be like, oh, there's pepperoni. So I'll steal like pepperoni or something. So that is funny. William says, fasting is easy for me. It's mind over matter. If you don't mind, it don't matter. Yeah, William, I'm pretty sure I've seen you comment before that you've done some pretty long fasts. So, that's great. I've never done a good job with it, but it's probably, like you said, it's mind over matter, and I've just have not gotten my mind to it. So, yeah. See, Crystal, thanks for the topic. Always looking for ways to help the budget. Yep. Yeah, definitely. Um, and anybody else has anything else, with eating carnivore on a budget, go ahead and put it in the chat and I'll bring it up. We can talk about it. There's a lot of good options. I know some people out there uh, snack while they're doing the carnivore diet, especially if they're early on the carnivore diet, they might still be snacking. Um, and a good snack that you can do that's not too expensive is pork rinds. As a matter of fact, you can buy the pork rinds at Aldi for, I want to say it's like $1 or $2 or something like that for a bag. So that's a good snack thing. Also, sometimes people use pork rinds for different recipes to replace something that was processed and bad or, whatever. So pork rinds can be a good option that can be fairly cheap. Um, Make sure you check out the ingredients label to, make sure that they don't have extra stuff in them because some of them do. But like the ones that I get from Aldi, when I get them, there's not very much to the ingredients. They're pretty good for you, pretty healthy, and they're pretty cheap. Like I said, I can't remember the exact price, but I think it's like $1 something. Like, I don't know, maybe $1.50 or $1.99. I can't remember. So they're a pretty good option as well on a budget. Let's see. I'm trying to think of any other good ideas here for carnivore on a budget. We talked about, um, just taking things and buying them in bulk because that tends to be cheaper than when you just buy like a couple days at a time or a week at a time. So those are always good options. Um, we talked about eggs. I can't say enough about eggs that they're a very good, healthy food, and they're pretty filling. And there's so many different ways that you can cook eggs as well, right? You can make scrambled eggs. You can do like over easy. You can boil, hard boiled. So many different options. Um, One thing I've noticed is it seems like hard boiled eggs seem to be more filling for me, especially compared to like scrambled eggs. So that's something there. Darth says sardines in a can. Yeah, I have ate sardines a few different times before. Um, if you can get past them, the biggest thing I think with sardines is the smell. In terms of taste, I think they taste fairly good. And they're definitely very healthy for you, and they are pretty cheap. When you're getting them at the store, the sardines in a can, I would suggest making sure that you get the ones that just have like the added water rather than the ones that are like in olive oil or something like that, just because the oils. But yeah, you can definitely get sardines for a pretty good price. And Crystal, kind of on that line, says if you like tuna or chicken in a can, take that, some shredded cheese and an egg, make patties and fry like a hamburger patty. Makes a great snack too. So there's another good option. Let's see. Champion Within. How many of us, me included, could clean out our freezers to make more room to bulk up? Yeah. So, like I mentioned, I'm not the only one or I'm the only one in my house that eats a carnivore diet. So, it's funny that the freezer in the fridge has different things in it that other people are eating, right? There's like toaster strudels and different frozen foods and ice cream and stuff like that. And if I could just wipe that stuff out, there'd be so much more room. But my fridge and freezer that I have in the garage and the one in the basement is basically just carnivore stuff. So, the freezer I have in the garage, I probably at any given time have, um, boy, I don't know. I'd probably have to guess at least 20 to 30 pounds of beef in there. I'll have like ground beef. I'll have different steaks in there. Um, my dog does a carnivore diet, so I will have chicken in there for her. Um, I tend to get the chicken thighs and grind up the bones and everything for her, and then I just take the skin off because dogs don't need the fat content that humans do. so they can eat a bit of a leaner diet. And I'll make the skins into crispy chicken skins as a snack for myself, or even a meal in a meal. So I'll do different things like that. And then my freezer that's down in the basement, I currently have some tomahawk ribeyes that I got a special deal on. So they're sitting in that freezer. So I really use my freezers well to bulk up, buy a lot at one time. Um, Typically, when I go to Costco, I will buy about 3 to 4 weeks worth of meat at a time. But that's kind of how I do it there. All right. So again, really quick, just want to let everybody know that this is the season finale for Low Carb Lounge season 1. So we will not be on next week. And I apologize, Aaron and Greg could not make it tonight. And unfortunately, Larry has not been able to make it either. So I'll probably try and schedule something with him again where we can get together and do a live so everybody gets a chance to talk with him and so forth. Let me catch up on a couple comments here. Let's see. William says, I feel for you, Wick, living in a house with toaster, strudel, and carbs. Yeah, the good thing is I am not tempted by most of that anymore. And the funny thing is what does tempt me is like cake or something like that. Something that's even worse for me, right? Like my wife recently had her birthday. So happy birthday, by the way, and in case she's watching. But she recently had her birthday and we had cake there, and I did end up having a little piece of cake. If it would have been, like a frozen meal with a bunch of processedness, which I know the cake's processed too, but some sort of frozen meal or the toaster strudels, I would have been like, yeah, no, I'm not going to eat that at all. But for some reason, that cake, I was like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and have that little piece. I wish I could get to the point that I'm not doing that anymore, but I still do that every once in a while. So I know it's not the best in the world, but I still do have those cravings sometimes. So let's see. Karen says, bought a whole brisket, ground it up for hamburger, added some bacon to the grind also, but the whole cryo packs of meat. Yeah, so brisket, that's a good one. I couldn't even tell you exactly how much it is, but I think if I remember correctly, it's come down in price a bit from where it was last summer, probably because we're in the winter time right now. So that's, a good one there. Oh, and hey, Larry just made it. So Larry is going to be on here in just a second. So let me go here and let me bring him in.
Let's welcome to the show, Carnivore Soldier. Thank you for your service, Larry.
Thank you, man. That was cool.
Hey, how you doing?
I think I told you I had to pick my son up. Sorry I'm late, but
yeah, no problem. I just been talking, chatting, and so forth. Unfortunately, Greg and Aaron couldn't make it tonight. Greg had a family thing, and Aaron had a procedure done, and she's still recovering. So it's just the two of us here.
That's fine. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
That's good stuff, man. So how you been, man? It's been a while.
Yeah, I've been doing pretty good. How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Let me just get my analytics up here.
All right.
I'm up. Okay, yeah. So things are going good. We're getting ready for KetoCon here in Austin, which is pretty exciting. And I'm pretty excited to meet up with a bunch of other carnivores and also some of these doctors like Dr. Chafee, Dr. Baker, Dr. Kiltz, Dr. Wiedemann. It's gonna be really cool. I'm excited to have it. And just a bunch of other content creators going to be there too. So it's pretty cool. And I'm interviewing the CEO of KetoCon
Oh wow.
a couple weeks. I think actually this weekend, I think is when I'm interviewing her. So that'll be fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That
yeah,
sounds pretty
there's a
cool.
lot of stuff going on. Always staying busy. So and of course my son is doing track. That's why I was late getting here. I had to pick him up after track practice.
Yeah.
And he's doing really well. So yeah, looks
Good.
like things are going well for us. That's great.
Yeah. So let me bring up here our topic, carnivore
Right.
on a budget. I've been talking about that a little bit, but I wanted to let you talk about that because I know you have some really great ideas and you talk a lot about doing carnivore on a budget. So I'm going to give you some time here to kind of talk about some of your ideas for doing carnivore on a budget.
Yeah. Well, first off, I would say that I just saw this on an article that the cost of food in relation to disposable cash has like skyrocketed to the highest it's been in decades. And I think all of us that are going to the grocery store know that this is very expensive food right now. And the great thing about carnivore is it appears, if you haven't started it appears like it's really expensive and unaffordable because meat is expensive, right? Or at least meat appears to be inexpensive. But the reality is, if you look at the nutrient density of what you're buying, the food that is not meat is the absolute most expensive, because when you look at the nutrients you're getting per dollar spent, nothing will beat fat and meat. Nothing on the store. I mean, you buy lettuce, there's no nutrients there. The density is very light, right? I mean, you can name whatever you want, even a processed food. It's very expensive. So if once you start eating real food that is like we're designed to eat, you will actually there you go. My dog's carnivore too. I'm saving money on my dog too. That's great, Karen. The money you save is because your body actually starts learning signals. You learn what it means to be satiated. You learn what it means to be hungry. So you're not snacking all day. So my grocery bill, I'm coming up on my 1-year carniversary, March 22nd. So I'm very close. And I'm so thankful that I'm saving so much money on my diet now. In fact, I think I commented on this during Christmas. I had extra money to spend in the budget because I saved so much over the 6 months or 8 months I had done before Christmas. So the reality is the food nutrient density per dollar. And then if you look for deals, you're going to get a great deal. You don't have to eat ribeyes to get this nutrient density. You can get the optimal nutrient density with ground beef and eggs. That's really all you need. If you have those two things, you have the most nutrient dense, cheap meal you can make. You could scramble up 6 eggs and throw a pound of beef in there, and you will be satiated for most people. I guarantee you. You're not going to eat 6 eggs and a pound of beef and not be satiated. That's almost impossible. And we were talking about this last night on my show about how Thanksgiving was different. I went ahead and on Thanksgiving, I would always eat until I was uncomfortably full. That was my routine on Thanksgiving, where I'd lay on the couch, and if I moved too much, it would hurt. Right? And then I'd unbutton my top button and just lay there in pain, literally. In this meal, we had a keto or a carnivore Thanksgiving this year. My sister and brother came over, and I just ate until I didn't want to eat anymore. But I never got the bloated gut. I never undid a button. I never felt uncomfortable. I think we learn how to eat until this is a much more pleasant experience. Let's put it that way. When you eat to satiety on this way, for me. What about you? Have you felt the same way? Where it's an easier way to eat, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I mean, I have actually ate like the big tomahawk ribeyes before, where I've ate like probably 2.5, close to 3 pounds of meat in one setting, and I did not feel bad from it. I was really full, like I could not
Yeah.
eat anymore. But you don't get that really bad feeling that like you feel so bad and you get tired and so forth. I didn't get that. And I can't remember a time since I've gone carnivore that has happened to me. It just doesn't happen. It used to happen all the time, right?
Yeah, all the time. That was like daily, right? It was daily, and you would eat all the time, and you'd always be hungry. You'd never be satiated because you weren't eating. It's actually what's happening is in this nationwide. Not only are we ingesting poison in the form of sugar and seed oils, but on top of that, we are malnourished as a population. Not that we're not getting enough calories, because that has nothing to do with nourishment. We're eating food that fills us up or doesn't fill us up, but keeps us eating all the time. But we're not getting the nutrients we need. And I think that's why we're all sick. That and also ingesting poison, right? So you're doing a lot of bad things. You're ingesting poison and you're not eating. Now when I eat, I get satiated. When I work out in a fasted state. I feel amazing. So it's crazy. But yeah, so going carnivore. My dog's carnivore. In fact, I ground 80 pounds of chicken yesterday for him. I do it once a month. I grind 80 pounds. It's about a month's worth of food. He's a Great Dane, so he eats a lot more than most dogs. Most typical dogs probably eat 40 pounds a month. And I pay $5.75 a pound. That's cheap. If you guys hadn't calculated it out, I was paying way more than that for premium kibble, which was garbage. Yeah. And now he's eating for $50 a month. He eats premium food, like real food. And now for me, I did a video on this. I think you've probably seen it, the carnivore for $40 a week. Now it may have gone up because prices are continuing to go up. They have not gone down since I did that video. That was during the summer. Even if it was $50 a week. But basically, it's just buying ground beef in big tubes and breaking it down into 1 pound bags. You get the 1 pound freezer bags and you get a roller pin and throw a pound in and roller them flat. And then you can stack them in the freezer. And then you buy a big carton of eggs with 60 eggs. Those are, they sell them at Walmart. I did Walmart when I did this, not because I think Walmart's the best quality food, not because I shop there, because I don't. I've gone and bought stuff there, but I don't daily. I picked Walmart because Walmart is everywhere in America. That if you live in New Hampshire or you live in Arizona or you live in Oregon, you're going to have a Walmart close by that you're going to be able to go shop. So I thought, well, I'm going to make it something, Aldi's is great, but Aldi's isn't everywhere, right? A lot of places don't have Aldi's. So people are like, well, you should have picked Aldi's. Well, listen, it's my video. If you think you need to do an Aldi's video, start up a channel. I will support you. I will 100% support you and do your Aldi's video. I did Walmart because it's local to everyone. That was my decision. And I agree. Well, Aldi's probably does have better quality meat at a lower price. And if it does, fantastic. You do you. This is just an example. So this is not a menu plan, but you can do BBB&E, bacon, butter, beef, and eggs with salt for about $40 to $50 a week for a person. That's easy to do. And that gives you a lot of eggs, a lot of beef, some bacon for a little bit of variety in there, some salt, and butter. I mean, butter's huge. I add a lot of butter to add fat to my meal because a lot of the beef I buy isn't 70-30, which or 80-20, which is ideal. The other thing is this is a high fat diet. A lot of people miss that. They think it's because it comes from keto. They think they have to worry about protein and everything. You don't worry about protein. The protein between a standard diet and a carnivore diet are almost the same. The difference is 0 carb, all fat. So the protein being the same, all you do is you switch over to fat. And by doing that, your body will definitely reap the benefits. You'll get into this, what Dr. Chafee calls and others call a fasting mimicking diet, right? Because basically by eating this way, your body goes into a fasted state and maintains it, which many anthropologists and doctors believe is the natural state for humans. We should not be in a fed state all the time. You look at a lion, you look at any wild animal, they're not in a fed state all the time. They're in a fed state after they make a kill. That's when they're in a fed state. And in between that and the next kill, they're in a fasted state. So, I mean, that's natural. So anyway, that's all I got to say on that. So it is easy. It is easy to buy high density nutrition in the form of meat and fats. And you can pick what you want. I mean, you can pick the cheapest stuff. Like I said, you don't have to pick, eggs are really cheap. There are people that actually do this just with eggs and butter. There are people that do that. I haven't done it, but I know there are. And you could just eat eggs and butter. I mean, that's pretty cheap. If you just eat, eggs and butter, you can go pretty cheap on that. So anyway, I don't think it has to be an expensive thing. In fact, it should be cheaper than your old way of eating if you do it right.
Yep, definitely. And I was talking before you had come on too, like, and it's funny because you brought up the whole ground beef and eggs. There's a lot of people that do ground beef and eggs, and I mentioned Dave Mack is one of them. Like, he'll eat like a pound of ground beef. I don't know how he eats as much as he does, but he'll do like a pound of ground beef and like 10 eggs, and that's it. And just think, I mean, how cheap that is. That's like probably $8 to $10 at the most, and that's his
Right
meal
there.
for the day. I personally can't eat that much. I'll do like a pound of ground beef and like maybe 4 eggs or something like that. So I don't know how he eats that many eggs, but
Not only is it cheap, but the quality of the nutrients in that meal are
yeah.
amazing compared to a standard American diet meal. You compare the all the vitamins that all our essential fatty acids, our essential proteins, our aminos, all this stuff in here, because carbohydrates are not essential, but everything in that meal is essential. You look at the nutrients in the egg yolks. Anyone that doesn't like doing liver, I don't do any liver, none, zero. Just like Dr. Chapey. What I do is I do some egg yolks. I eat egg yolks. I eat 2 eggs a day at least and I eat them raw. I make a little shake out of them after I work out. And egg yolks have a ton of that same vitamin type material, the nutrient material you find in organs. Because guess what? The egg is basically everything that's in the body. So it's got all you need. So I don't do any organ stuff at all. I just do red meat, pretty much a little bit of bacon, some eggs. And that's it, man. Let's see what Dave's on. Yeah. OMAD. Yep.
Yeah, I talking about doing OMAD. And so he brings up, my costs are pretty low as compared to standard American diet. That's another point too, that like, really needs to be emphasized. You don't have to buy all that other stuff that you are when you're doing a standard American diet. You don't have to buy the breads anymore. You don't need sugar in uh
No ingredients.
different side dishes. Yeah, you don't need any ingredients to make anything because you're just cooking the meat, right? But you don't need side dishes like all those fruits and vegetables and stuff. You don't need any of that. So you're saving money on all that stuff. And then the other thing you could look at is you're really going to be saving money on doctors and so forth, because you're going to find that you're going to get much healthier eating this way, and you're not going to need to go to the doctor all the time.
Yep. Also, no waste. So I don't generate nearly the trash I used to generate.
Yeah.
Also, the time saving, right? And like when I go shopping now, I don't go as often to the store. When I do go, it's in and out, self-check. 10 items is pretty easy to do, or 15 max. So I can self-check in and out. I always get the small cart. I never get the big cart anymore. And when I first went carnivore, the first 6 months or 8 months, I would look around at people's baskets and just be appalled. Like, man, they have a full basket and they don't have food in it. Like no food, like zero. Like they have very, nothing I would consider food in that basket. But now, recently, I found myself going in and looking at people's shopping carts and trying to see if anyone's a carnivore. I started looking as like, in the meat aisle, I'll be looking, what do they have in their basket? And I try to see if they are maybe a carnivore because they have a lot of meat in there, but nothing else, So I haven't found any yet, but I've been looking. I've had a couple that were close. I thought, I wonder if that was a carnivore. And then they put something like, nope, they're not. They put some barbecue sauce in there. Like, nope, that's not. They're just getting ready for a barbecue or something, right?
Yeah.
So it's my new game when I go to the grocery store. But I mean, it gets so. It's just like being in the gym or in the grocery store. You just see people and you're like, man, metabolic disease. Everywhere you look at, you see these people that are just sick. And you look at what they're putting in their basket and you're like, man, they're eating poison. They're feeding their addictions, and they don't even, it's unrecognized. I didn't know I was an addict. I had no clue. I just thought I was normal. I thought I was a normal person. And, and that's what it was. Yeah. Cleaning up, champion within. Cleaning up takes 5 minutes. That's a fact. Cleaning up is super easy. Yeah. Good stuff. Hey, Johnny, how you doing, man? Hope you're doing well driving that truck. Anyway, heard you guys aren't going to New York City. I think it's pretty funny, but truck drivers anyway. So straight to the meat and check out. Yep. And I do a lot of that stuff. But once you cut out all dressings and all that stuff and all the seasonings, and then you cut out all your trips to the gas station to check out to buy snacks, because I don't do that anymore, or drinks. I don't do energy drinks anymore. All that. I mean, think about the energy drinks, the coffee, all these things you used to buy out in town that you just don't do anymore, right? I mean, that could easily be $50 a month, right? I mean, if you stop 10 times to get like a Monster's like $4.50, right? So at a gas station. So you stop 10 times in a month, that's easy for me to do. That would have been $50 right there on Monster energy drinks, you know? And you just think about it. It's like, and then you throw in coffee, you could be doing 100 just on drinks, right? A month that you're saving.
Oh yeah,
definitely. That's $1,200 a year. What could you buy at Christmas time for $1,200, right? What could you do on vacation for $1,200 just from the drinks going away, right? That's what you got to look at. You're like, all right, is it really more expensive? No, not when you get off all these addictions, right? And that's the other thing is we talked this about this being a fasting mimicking diet. And, you know, last night we were talking about fasting in the last couple videos I did. And one of the big benefits of fasting that they've known about for over 100 years, because in the 1930s, they used to treat opium addicts and alcoholics with fasting, because fasting helps people break addictions, which is something that, you know, when you do it in the carnivore context, you're breaking that sugar addiction. But guess what? I quit drinking too. And, you know, I will still have a social drink every now and then, but I don't drink like I used to daily. I was talking to a soldier who quit drinking and smoking, and not on purpose. He just ran out and stopped buying and didn't miss it. I talked to the Carnivore Cure, right? Todd, is it Todd?
Yeah, Todd.
Yeah, he quit gambling. Now, you're thinking, okay, you change your diet and you quit gambling? But that doesn't even make sense. That's not even physiological. That's a mental addiction, right? But the fact is that when your brain is being fueled properly with ketones, you actually break these addictions. And, you know, being addicted to sugar means you're going to be in there buying drinks. And guess what? Not just sugar, but artificial sweetener drinks too. So when I was spending hundreds of dollars a month or $100 a month on drinks, I was really feeding an addiction, right? Which is their plan. And then I would go in there and buy a Quest bar too, or buy whatever. So I was probably spending $200 a month just driving around and buying stuff. You know, $5-10 here, $7 here, and it's so easy with your bank card. You don't even look at the total when you check out. You just assume, that's right, $7, $8, whatever. But when you add all that up during the year, like I said, that could be $1,200, could be $1,500, could be $2,000 for one person, for a single guy. That is a vacation for me. $2,000. That is a huge Christmas and birthdays and whatever. You know, it can be whatever you want. So, making better decisions to Carnivore Zen. That's champion within just that. That's what I like to call it, is Carnivore Zen. And it's you're better at self-discipline increases. These are scientific results of studying the effects of fasting. You know, better decision making, better self-discipline, leaving, you know, behind addictions, addictive personality, compulsive behavior, violence. All these things can be changed when you go into a fasted state. Well, you don't have to fast to be in a fasted state. You can do it through diet. And that's why that's the magic you get in carnivore that you don't get in keto. That's the magic. In keto, you're still managing your addiction. You're just trying to manage it at a lower level. You're like, okay, I can do 20 grams of carbohydrates, great, or 40 grams, whatever I'm doing. So I'm going to manage this. So I'm going to, you know, instead of having a 6-pack of beer, I'm just going to have 2 beers, right? Or whatever, you know, you're for an alcoholic trying to manage your alcoholism. That doesn't work that way. You really have to cut it off. But once you cut off all sweeteners and you dive into this thing and take it seriously, it is a supernatural power. I mean, it is amazing the difference where you can just walk away from these things. It's not like I was planning to quit drinking. I wasn't. I have bourbon over there right now. I could get a drink right now if I wanted to. I don't want one, which is crazy because normally every evening I would have a nightcap to go to bed, to wind down, to relax. Not needed. Not even desired. I mean, I will do it socially when someone comes over and says, "Hey, let's have a drink." Okay, I'll sit down and have a drink with you. But that is it's same with smoking cigars. I don't smoke cigars by myself. I don't go out and buy cigars. I have some in my humidor, and they are for social occasions. And that was not necessarily the case. So I'm not the only person. Other people have noticed it too. If any of you guys have noticed it, so sugar is one that we pretty much all break away. That's one we're all addicted to. And that's one for sure, we can all identify with. But in addition to that, there are other addictions. I've heard people, even pornography, other things, that they can just walk away, which is amazing. It's breaking chains. And that is part of the power of this diet. It is. And you'll save money because of that. I mean, just think about it. The guy gambling, the guy drinking alcohol. I used to spend a lot more on alcohol too. I used to buy at least $60 worth of alcohol per month, right? So that's $720 at least, probably close to $1,000 on alcohol that I would spend a year. So if you look at those numbers, they start adding up, right? So there's no way I could spend that much. I could spend more at the grocery store based on the other money I'm saving as well, right? So I mean, you start adding up all the things you're saving. There's no way. The only thing that costs me more right now is clothes because my pants keep falling off.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's fact.
Yes, it is. I want to bring something up Craig had put in here. Says, Wick, we know you love sardines. Aren't they really affordable? Yes, it's funny because a little bit earlier, someone else had brought sardines up, and they really are. And they're very good, healthy for you. You buy the little cans of sardines. I suggested making sure that you get the ones with just the water added and not like the olive oil or something like that. So they're a little bit better for you. Because you don't know exactly what's in that olive oil and all that stuff, right? But yeah, sardines, if you can get past the smell, that's the biggest thing with the sardines is the smell. But you get past them, I think in terms of taste, they actually taste fairly good.
Yeah, and they got all your organ meats. They got all your organ meats in there. I eat them.
Yeah.
I don't eat the oil ones too because it's well known that those companies do cut olive oil with cheaper grapeseed oil, because it's cheaper. I mean, and you can't taste the difference because grapeseed oil and grapeseed oil don't have a flavor. So you mix them with olive oil and they taste like olive oil. They just save a lot of money. So never get the ones with oil because you're just and also even if it was olive oil, it's still a seed oil, right?
Right.
And olive oil is a relatively clean one, but only if it is cold pressed, right? And virgin, 100% virgin, which none of those say that on there. So it probably is, and it's probably
chances are they are not.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So, and even if I was buying, not that, but if I was buying a plant oil to eat, it would either be an avocado oil, and it had to say 100% pure. But even then, you're trusting a label, or it would be coconut oil. I know coconut oil for sure is not machine pressed ever. It's just oils just come out of that so easily. So coconut oil, I mean, there's countries where they eat that on every meal, right? And they are very healthy because they're not eating these other oils. So coconut oil, I would say, is probably safe. But why do that when you can just have fat from any animal? I mean, you can just have rendered fat and butter and ghee.
Right.
There's no need to go down that road. But if you like coconut flavor, I guess you can do coconut oil for stuff.
Yeah. That's an interesting thing. Excuse me. I never thought about adding eggs in with the sardines. When I've ate sardines, I've just had them plain.
That'd be cool. Sardines,
excuse me.
Water, add eggs, and scrambled it. That would be good.
Yeah.
Something different, if you want to change your diet. The thing is, I don't even look for variety in my diet anymore. It's so different. My relationship with food has completely changed. It's not entertainment at all. Sure, I still love a steak every now and then. I like a good burger, but it's not like it's not the thing I look forward to and plan like I used to, right?
Yeah.
I used to plan all the meals, man. When I had my son, I'd be like, all right, we're gonna have this on Saturday, we're gonna have this on Friday, Sunday's gonna be this, and I plan it all out and go buy stuff just for that for the weekend to have them or to have guests over. Don't do any of that now. I just have beef in there and I'm like, what do you feel like, man? You want some burgers? You want some steak? You want some pot roast? I got it all. It's all ready to go. And I just fire up whatever they want, or eggs. Sometimes breakfast for dinner is a good one. Brenner, that's always good.
Yeah. Johnny says he adds tuna to scrambled eggs from time to time.
There you go.
Yep.
All right.
It's good.
I'm not a huge fish eater anymore. Salmon would be good though. I mean, salmon and eggs would probably be good too.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can
Yeah.
have like, I used to eat bagels with lox and cheese or whatever, which is cream cheese, right? You can get the salmon, smoked salmon with the cream cheese and get that same kind of effect, right?
Mm.
They used to get the lox and cheese in a bagel, just no bagel.
Yeah, right.
Probably be good. I mean, probably be good. You get some smoked salmon, put some cream cheese on it, and go to town. You know, I used to love that, and I used to love that at sushi places too. I eating cream cheese, and it's always awesome. But you can just get rid of the roll and just eat the salmon and the cream cheese. It's basically what it is, right?
Right.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. I don't actually eat fish that often, though. I will say that I stick, with beef most of the time. So beef and eggs, I guess.
What's wrong with beef, man?
Yeah, I'll do bacon sometimes too, but not really that often. Like I like bacon, but I just don't do it that often. So
I never cook bacon for myself, but if I'm making breakfast for my son when he's here for school, I always make him breakfast. I will sometimes throw extra strips of bacon because I'm already cooking it. I'm like, all right, I'll throw a couple strips in here and make it the way I like it.
yeah,
We'll get Carnivore did cooking features, sardines and eggs. I copied and modded it just a tad. Cool.
yeah.
Do you like it? I guess you like it. If you wouldn't be posting here if you didn't.
Right. Yep.
That's another way to get your eating the eggs themselves. You're going to get your organ meat quotient of vitamins and such, but then you can also get it from sardines. They have all your organs in there, so that's always good too.
Yeah. Yep.
So I like your low carb lounge. This is cool, man. I've never been here before. I like the lounge. It's designed, it's decorated nicely, and I love the logo. Is this your show or whose show is this?
So Greg from My Weight Loss Life, myself, and Aaron from Brewing Better Living kind of co-host it, the three of us, right? Typically all three of us are on. Last week, only Aaron and I were on because Greg was caught up in something. And now this week it's just me that's on. But so typically it's the three of us. Aaron did a lot of the graphics and stuff for us, and Greg did some of the voiceovers and stuff like that we got.
Voiceover was cool. I like it. That was cool.
Yeah. Greg's got one where like it's his voice like changed into like a female voice and everything. It's great. But yeah, it's the funny thing is I was talking about before you were on, this is the last episode of season 1 for us, and then we're gonna take a little bit of a break. And I don't know, we'll probably be back in a few weeks or something like that with it. But so yeah, it's interesting.
This took the place of your football thing, right? Your watch parties.
This did, yeah. So we were doing the low carb football party, and with the football season over, we wanted to come up with something.
You've been watching the Wings.
Yeah, they're doing well. I think they've got a really good chance here. I mean, they're like in the second wild card, but they're only a point behind Tampa Bay, and they played 2 less games. So it's almost like being in the top wild card spot right now. So
they're getting used to Kane's rhythm, his cadence, right? Because in the beginning, he was a little off with everyone. Now,
yeah,
I know what when he feeds them, man, or he even takes a shot. It's great. It's looking good, and they got some good line. I mean, I hate to get into hockey. They got some good lines on there too. It's not just their top line, line. The fourth line looks great. I mean, they are looking good.
Yeah, their offense has been really good. They need to improve the defense a little bit.
Looking great. Cider's great. They need some more defense.
Yeah. The top line is pretty well, but yeah, that, and I'm really worried about the goaltending. I mean,
Husso being down sucks. I wish he was back.
Yeah. So I don't know. We're getting close to the trade deadline. It'll be interesting to see what they do.
I don't know if they can hold on to Husso because I don't know. He's great. He didn't look good. I mean, get injured right away. Oh my gosh, that was terrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
First game, he comes back.
First was it like the first period, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I think.
first period, first game, he went down once on splits and it was done. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
Larry, did you watch Dr. Ovidia feature high school girl? I had watched part of it. I didn't finish it yet. I am going to watch it. There's a high school girl here in Austin who partnered on his channel and talking about preventing cancer, which I will be checking that out because I'm all about that and I believe in it. Like I used to say before carnivore, or should I just say last year, I used to be worried about cancer. I used to be worried. I'm 57, turning 58 in about 30, 40 days. I mean, May 4th, I turned 58. So May the 4th be with you. I am a nerd. I used to worry about cancer all the time. I used to worry about Alzheimer's all the time because my mom died of Alzheimer's. And now I don't worry about those things anymore. Because I've identified what the cause is, right? And it's these poisons. And even if I did get cancer, because there's still a chance you can get cancer. I mean, it could happen. Although I've greatly reduced the odds of that happening. If I do get cancer, I know people I can call directly that are beating it or have beat it, but with this diet. And I can also contact doctors that are carnivore doctors that can tell me, hey, this is what you do. And it's an amazing feeling not to live in fear all the time. It was a normal state to be afraid of my next colonoscopy or my next visit with the doctor. Or I was always on edge, like as always, is this it? Is this the one where they're going to tell me I have a polyp that's turned cancerous or whatever? They got to do biopsy. That's what I always wondered. Now I don't worry about this stuff. And I definitely don't worry about Alzheimer's because I know that as 100% diet. I mean, yes, I may have the genes that make me, more susceptible to that. But if I'm not poisoning myself, I'm not going to get type 3 diabetes, right? Which is Alzheimer's. So I'm good with that. I'm good. Yeah. So, so watching that video where she's talking about not treating cancer, but preventing cancer, preventative diet to prevent cancer. I'm definitely going to watch the rest of that. So thanks, Dave. Thanks for sending that to me. I really appreciate it. And I will watch the rest of it. And she's here in Austin, which is cool too. So I'm sure I'll meet her at KetoCon.
Good. All right.
Oh, well, one other thing. Anyone that's going to KetoCon or planning on it, first off, consider going. Second off, I have a $50 code for discount. Just Carnivore Soldier in caps, one word. When you check out, you'll save $50 on your ticket. Or you can just use, if you can't remember that, use HYH50, which is Hack Your Health 50. HYH50 in caps, same thing, the number 50, HYH50. Tickets go up March 1st by another $50. So, and then April 1st, they go up another $50, and May 1st, they go up another $50. So they end up being like $400 for the weekend. Right now, if you get tickets before the end of the month, you're basically paying $199 for the whole weekend. 3 days of carnivore with all the keynote speakers and everything for $199. I think it's going to be well worth it. Plus meeting all these great people. Terry Mann's going to be there. I'm going to be there. A bunch of carnivore content creators going to be there. The Carnivore Brothers, a lot of people will be there. And then, of course, all the great doctors. Dr. Barry's not going to be there, but Dr. Baker will be there. Dr. Kiltz. Like I said, Dr. Wiedemann. There's going to be a lot. What's his name from Australia? Anyway, Chafee, Dr. Chafee.
Dr. Chafee, yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Chafee's actually filming his portion of Terry's coming down and going to film Dr. Chafee for his movie portion there, because that way he doesn't have to fly out to Australia to film it, which makes sense. So should be amazing. Plus, there's a lot of other people that I don't really know yet, which I'm looking forward to watching their talks and learning, about what they see with carnivore. I don't know if they're carnivores or not. It'll be interesting to see what makes it. But there are a lot of carnivores there. I can tell you that, a lot of carnivores, which is really great.
Yeah, it is.
Yep. And I think this weekend I'm interviewing the CEO and founder of that. So that will be Saturday. So Monday, that'll probably be out before the first. So if you want to learn more about that, then you could watch that interview where I talk about that stuff. So You got a call. Sorry, guys. Dang, where is that coming from? It's my Discord server. Sorry. Let me shut it down.
Yeah. So it's 8:30 here Eastern time. And I actually have a hard stop here at 8:30. So we're gonna need to wrap it up. I know we didn't get to talk quite as long because you had the thing with your son earlier, but hopefully maybe you and I can get together again and talk because I like talking to you. You've got some great ideas and stuff, and I think it'll be a great time. So we'll schedule something up.
Good.
Great talking with you again today. And again, anybody that isn't familiar with Larry, it's on the bottom of your screen there at Carnivore Soldier. So go check out his channel. He's got some really great stuff there.
Yeah, I've been seeing you around, Brian. It'd be good to chat.
Yeah. So we're gonna wrap it up here. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'm gonna go into our little outro that we have here. So thanks everybody.